to have the Republican from the great state of Texas, Senator Ted Cruz. Ted, how are you?
Joe, my friend, great to be with you.
It's always an absolute pleasure. I want to start with the big news of the day. Obviously, the Austin bomber being dead is a very positive thing, but, man, he did a lot of damage. I know that you had some thoughts on that whole situation.
Well, number one, we are all grateful and giving thanks that law enforcement was able to find him and identify him, and that this terrorist is no longer in a position to murder people. Now, everyone in and around Austin and San Antonio still needs to be very, very careful. We know of 5 bombs that he sent, but we don't know if there were additional bombs.
Right.
So still be very, very careful, and we don't know for sure if he had any accomplices. But I will say I spoke this week to the mayor of Austin, to the Austin chief of police, and then we had an incredible law enforcement effort on the ground.
Yeah.
At the federal level, we had over 500 federal agents assisting local law enforcement, and I'm very, very grateful and giving thanks that this terrorist is no longer threatening the lives of innocent people.
Hey, Senator, I don't think people understand how well federal and local can work together. We hear a lot of the arguing and the haranguing about illegal immigration, sanctuary city or not. It turns out that these forces came together for good. And, I mean, there was an arrest warrant put out for this guy. They knew who he was yesterday. And it just seems to be almost unprecedented to our minds. But this kind of stuff does happen more often than we think, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and in Texas, I'll say our state and local officials have good relationships with the federal officials and work together closely. Tragically, we've had multiple instances to do so. In the wake of Hurricane Harvey,
right,
we saw very, very close cooperation between federal officials and state officials and county officials and local officials. That's something that I spent a lot of time trying to do, is facilitate everyone talking to each other, making sure the federal resources got where they needed to be. Sutherland Springs, the wake of that horrific church shooting, we saw incredible cooperation between our state and local law enforcement and the federal law enforcement. And then with these Austin bombings, you know, I asked both the Austin chief of police and the mayor, is there anything else you need from the federal level? Is there any federal assistance, any federal asset that hasn't been made available? And both of them said everything we could possibly want. The feds are leaning in with everything they got, and that's the way it should be working.
And it worked very well. Republican from the great state of Texas, it's Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, we're looking at budgets. We're talking about the omnibus bill, whatever the hell that means. Obamacare isn't solved yet. We're talking about possibly adding an internet sales tax. Let's start with Obamacare. Got rid of the individual mandate. You worked your face off on getting that done. That saved so many taxes on middle to lower middle class people who 80% were being harmed and damaged by this individual mandate. Thank God you got rid of that. But Obamacare still exists. And here we are, you know, more than a year into this presidency, and God forbid something bad should happen in the midterm elections. You guys won't be able to do anything. Is Obamacare going to be taken care of or not? What's going on with that?
Well, I certainly hope so. It needs to be. It is the biggest unfinished commitment that Republicans have. In my view, the 4 big priorities for the Republican majorities and the Republican president are tax reform, regulatory reform, Obamacare, and judges. We've delivered in a big way on all 4, and even Obamacare, repealing the individual mandate was a big, big deal. I was proud to lead the effort to get that done. 6 months ago, it looked impossible to achieve, and yet we managed to unify all 52 Republicans in the Senate and get it done. That's a great first step. We need to finish the job. Now, the challenge, Joe, is getting to 50 in the Senate. We now have a very narrow majority of just 51. What I can tell you is that I am rolling up my sleeves and continuing to work to unify Republicans to finish to lower insurance is more affordable and ends this disaster that isn't working.
It's Senator Ted Cruz. Well, Senator, to that point, wasn't there some deadline that we missed so you can't really do it by a simple majority, or is there still a way to get that done? Do you need 60 or do you still only need 51?
You can still do it with 51. We can take up a reconciliation bill anytime in 2018. Once we get to 50 plus the vice president, we can get the job done.
Okay.
We just need to get the agreement in principle. And I think the key to getting it done is to focus like a laser on lowering premium. So what people are most unhappy about in Obamacare is that the average family's premium has risen over $5,000 a year.
Right.
And I hear from Texans every day saying, I can't afford quality health insurance anymore. But the way you lower premiums is more competition, more choice, more consumer freedom. We need to finish that job.
It's Senator Ted Cruz. The cell phone's getting sketchy, but I don't want to lose you, Ted, so I'm just going to keep on going through. Hopefully you can hear me okay. When it comes to internet sales tax, I want to switch to that. There's a big push in Washington to add it because Washington wants more of our money. I guess all the trillions of dollars isn't enough. You're against it. I'm against it. But at the same time, I think that we both can understand an argument that Toys R Us is going out of business because people are buying online now. How do you juxtapose that? People are buying online. Brick and mortar is suffering, but I don't want an internet sales tax. What is your plan going forward on that?
Well, if you look at how the internet operates, the big internet retailers all pay sales tax, collect sales tax right now. Of the 20 biggest internet retailers, 19 of them have physical presences in every state that has sales taxes.
Right.
So they collect them. And they're the guys who are given the major competition to the bricks and mortar. What this internet sales tax proposal is, and I think it's a terrible proposal, it is not the big guys, not the giant online retailers, the Amazons of the world and the Walmart.com and all the different players.
Right.
What this is about is subjecting all the mom-and-pop retailers, the small internet retailers, forcing them to collect sales taxes in up to 9,600 jurisdictions nationwide. And it's just it's not fair. It's not right. It'll drive these little guys out of business. And I think we need to keep the internet free, and we need to keep it free of taxes, free of regulations. The internet has been an incredible haven for entrepreneurial opportunity. And you know, we're getting ready today or tomorrow to see this omnibus bill. Right now, I don't know what's in it. Leadership hasn't told us. But the three big things I'm fighting to keep out of it are, number one, the internet sales tax, which would be a terrible idea.
Okay.
Number two is massive bailouts for insurance companies. There's a real effort to put billions of dollars in bailouts for insurance companies. I think that'd be a big, big mistake. And number three, there's a press to add additional taxes on every airline flight you take. I think that'd be a big mistake. You know, a lot of jobs in Texas depend on jobs from the airlines, and driving up the cost of buying a ticket is a mistake as well. I'm hopeful we'll keep all three of those out, but I'm fighting hard on all of those to keep them out of this bill.
I know you got to run. You've got a lot of more of these things that you're doing. I appreciate you stopping by today.